Hello and welcome to
Hey, we like your pod.
And we're going to tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here, and I'm joined, as always, by my trusted partner, Maddie Pickett, and our very special guest, Matt Froelich. How are you, Matt, doing tonight? It's so good to see you. How is your week, Matt Froelich? When's the due date? My gosh, what are you doing here?
Yes, due date is May 27th. So as we record, we have, record when this comes out, less than 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So that is all the emotions. I tweeted at someone today. They were asking something about, or maybe I was texting someone. I digress, but I kind of just summed it up. It's like all these emotions. It's kind of like watching a Packer game 24/7. You just up, down, peaks, valleys. So it's we're excited and constantly getting things that we need to put together and assemble and organize. So it's been a challenge, but we're excited.
That's awesome. And you have 2 kids coming, right? Twins? Is that right?
Girls, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That was my thoughts as well when I found out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's amazing. I'm excited for you, man. Yeah. And really soon you're going to find out that you are no longer Matt Froelich. You are your kid's dad who transports them places, and people want to see the kids. You'll be very much the secondary character. It's a crazy thing that happens, but it's totally worth it.
Awesome.
And yeah, because Maddie has 2 girls too.
Okay.
So Matt Froelich, I'm sorry, I'm just going to do this all night because I don't want to confuse myself. Do you have any other children, or are these your firsts?
These are our first, yeah. So definitely thought I'd have kids earlier in life, but at 33 years old, I think it's a plenty time of life experience to finally have some children. So these are our firsts.
Oh yeah.
We have nieces, we have nephews, we have friends that have kids. So we love children, and we're very excited to bring these 2 little girls in the world. Memorial Day weekend-ish, before, after, in between.
Right.
So that'll be interesting too.
That's a great time to have kids. My first kid was born when I was about 35-ish. I could do the math. It's roughly 34 or 35.
Sure.
And it's good because you have a chance to live a good amount of your adulthood and establish yourself, who you are, and learn about yourself before you have to go into this whole new, world of parenting. So no, I think that's the right move. I mean, I know people who had kids like at 19 or 20, and it's like, you never got to be an adult. That's a bummer.
I agree. Totally agree.
That's the way to go.
That's right. But although then when they're older, they will, how do I say this? They'll be younger grandparents.
Yes.
So they'll be younger when they're older.
True. They'll be younger when they're older.
When they're at that stage, that what you generally think of as that granny stage.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of young grandparents, right? So
yeah.
Oh!
They'll only be middle-aged when their lives are given back to them instead of being elderly. So yeah, true. You're excited about something, Dawn? What is it? What's going on?
Sorry. Ronica Stone just side out. They just won the match.
Very relevant. Then.
Thank you. Sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. I don't. So at 4:00 my time, which is really early, the San Diego Mojo's volleyball team was playing a match. And so it went to 5, and they just won the tiebreaker. And hello, Mrs. Studley, Dave Starks, long time no see, Iowa Joe, Katie. How are you guys?
Good crew in the chat here right now, folks.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Dave Stark is making some pina coladas. Dave, how are your Knicks doing? Of course you are, Mrs. Studley says. That's his wife. So, how was your week aside from assembling? What about you, Matt? What did you didn't assemble any baby furniture this week, did you?
Unlike most weeks, I did not. No, I'm having a good week. We're still in that weird middle space between things, between the end of the school year and the beginning of the summer orientation season. So very quiet at work, but I'm not complaining about that because it'll be bananas in about 3 weeks here when I won't have a second to breathe. But other than that, things are good in terms of like outside of the bubble that where I work at the university. The school year is winding down for my kids as well, so they have all those exciting like end of the year, celebrations and parties and ceremonies and whatever else.
Whatever,
So
graduation.
whatever things. So like, yeah, it's an exciting time. I'm loving it. Yeah, Dawn, how's your week gone?
My week is a blur as usual. Really, it's actually been pretty good. It's starting to get more summery here. We're starting to see some more tourists.
It's always summery there, Dawn.
It's always summer. It's always summer, but what I mean is the tourists start coming. And then it's like, okay, so if you're a long time local, you're like, okay, I'm just going to like stay back for a couple months here and let them all do their thing until they leave after September. Yeah. But it's kind of weird because you just go somewhere where you normally going all the time, right? And it's just like, oh, I can't park here now. I can't find a place to park. Oh, I need reservation. Yeah, it's different this time of year. So people are starting to come in earlier and earlier because it's not even Memorial Day yet. Feels like it, but it's not.
Very close.
Picking up like that. Yeah. So before we go any further, this is super important. Katie's throwing some parenting advice into the chat here. So I'm just going to read it off. She says, best of luck, Matt Froelich. Mine are 10.5 years old. No, that can't be it. She has multiple kids. They can't all be the same age. My only advice is the first year is rough. Take lots of videos because you probably won't remember much. I took a picture of my older kid every day of her first year. So I had a really like thorough, record of it. So that's a good one for sure. But just know that, since we're doing unsolicited parenting advice real fast, Matt, the will to live is strong. Your kid will survive. You almost can't kill it. In fact, it's like a bug that you can't swat.
Yeah.
So,
I've heard my boss told me the same advice the other day. He said he got it from someone else. He said, someone once told me they really are hard to kill. And I'm like, that's interesting, creepy, but true. I've seen a lot of kids run, fall, and they're fine. They bounce around like Jello. So
they're low to the ground, so they don't fall as far. So yeah,
because they're short.
And the first birthday is not a celebration of the kid, but of you both for surviving that first year. So that's gonna be a good milestone for you. The kid won't remember their first birthday. Take some pictures with a cake or whatever. But you got this. You'll be great.
Oh, it's so exciting. It's so exciting. So you don't like have one of those planned due dates. You're just going to go when it happens.
Yeah.
Right?
So, yeah. Well, it's planned for the 27th. She's going to get a C-section. So if it happens, then great. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping we get all the time out of it because I want all my time and I want to make sure those babies are growing as big as they can.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure. And healthy and the immune system and all that stuff. So Mrs. Studley says Mr. Studley is crying about the Knicks being injured, and Mr. Studley says they are injured. So how are the Knicks? I have not been paying attention because my Bucks got knocked out in the first round, which is crazy. I might probably watch the last, the final, the championship round. I probably will, but I've been so busy watching volleyball. I'm so sucked into this volleyball. And I've got other people.
I think the Knicks are up 2-0 in the series, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they are. So maybe they did get banged up, but I was not aware there was injuries. But regardless, 7 games.
Yeah, well, all teams have some injuries at this point. Sure. I mean, some more than others. But yeah, so Katie said her twins are 10.5.
That makes sense. Yeah, I was like, she doesn't have just 2 kids, which meant the twins specifically. So
4 kids. I was thinking maybe she's doing like the average of 4.
I've seen that at first too. That's why it's a decimal.
Oh gosh. Well, we're so excited, Matt, that you enjoyed us.
Yes.
And Iowa Joe is like myself. We don't have kids, so we can't give much advice. Although it doesn't stop me. I do occasionally give advice.
Okay.
Even though I've never had children. Run far away. No, don't do that. They need you. So we're super excited to get to know Matt Froelich a little bit better. Matt Froelich is one of our fantastic content creators for the Packers and the NFL. So Matt Froelich, the way that we generally start our get to know you process on our show is we like to go through your Twitter, which is your Twitter biography. I can't say it, so we
Okay.
call it a Twitter. So I'm going to read it, and then we're going to have some questions for you. How does that
Love
sound?
it. That sounds great. I love if that's not a word you have patented yet, I think Twitto's I've never heard that term. I like that.
I
Everyone
don't
will be
know. I
saying
just
it.
started saying it.
It's gonna spread.
I know. I shouldn't explain it anymore. I should just say it, because by now it's kind of like, Kleenex is tissues, right? It's a thing.
I love
Okay.
it.
So your Twitter reads Matt Froelich at Matt_Frey_. You're a buyer, a media buyer and strategist, which sounds absolutely fascinating to me. Is it Eve Star or
Yeah.
F Star?
Eve
Star?
Star, you got it.
Eve Star Growth. And at Pack-A-Day Podcast, you're a co-host and a founder at, is it Melody?
So it's Melody. It's actually a combination of the two twins' names. It's like a little marketing side business I'm starting. So
Nice.
yeah, just kind of wanted to do that for a few years, and it just kind of worked on it the last couple months. And it's not a top priority, but we're trying to grow it a little bit with some people and some businesses that I know.
I like it. I did click on it to see what I could discover, but it looked like it was, like you said, you were just putting it together. And then
Absolutely.
at Madden Academy,
Yeah.
COO, and then my gosh, you have so much going on. We have so many questions. And then you've got your IG, you're on Instagram at Matt_Frey_. And do you live in Green Bay?
I do. I live 2.1 miles away from Lambeau Field.
Oh,
That's what
jealous.
Google tells me.
Super jealous.
So, yep, it's pretty cool.
I think that's what I should do when I'm like 75, 80 years old. Just get one of those little condo things.
Oh, those are very cool. Though I've never toured one, but they look absolutely incredible. Like you're talking about right on the Titletown field. Yeah, those are. I would love to tour one. They seem absolutely incredible. Currently outside of my tax bracket, but maybe one day.
Well, I'm on the mailing list, and some of them are, kind of little. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm kind of little, so I get the floor plans once in a while. It's like,
That's awesome.
I mean, it's probably way cheaper than living where I live. So
I wouldn't doubt it. It probably is cheaper than San Diego, California area.
Seriously, it's expensive out there, Don. More so than you might realize. You probably have enough just saved up in your change from all the stuff you have to purchase on a regular basis to like pay for a year of that. In Wisconsin. So very different.
I don't know, though. I don't know, because I always think like in Wisconsin, you have to buy things like you don't need here, like snow coats and boots and mittens and snow tires and 4-wheel drive vehicles and earmuffs and all those things that you don't need out here.
That's fair.
So yeah,
small expense.
a little more simply here. So, okay, so tell us everything. What's it like to be a media buyer and strategist for
Sure.
Eve Star Growth?
So I've worked in like marketing for about 4 years now, 5 years. I started with a local company in Green Bay, small firm, and then after about a year and a half doing that, I had a different company reach out, and I started to understand what like e-commerce marketing was. Basically, when you're scrolling your phone, whether it be on Facebook. I mean, I've worked in marketing, so paid ads is obviously one arm of that. But this career honestly has taken me to a different realm that I was unaware of. So like businesses are selling obviously their products all the time, direct to consumer, whether it be on TikTok or Facebook, Instagram, and we help businesses that you wouldn't even think of do X amount of money a year. We work with a jewelry company for like women's or men's piercings anywhere, and they sell from between $10 to $25, and this guy does like $5 million. No, he does more than that. He'll do like $10 million a year just in selling that on the internet. And obviously there's expenses after that, but it's just It's fascinating. And then there's businesses that I've been a part of or worked with that are a part of like the agency life that you're like, oh my gosh, I've seen their ads. Or one of them is Hexclad. It was with my old agency. It's Gordon Ramsay's pans. I think they actually I know they used to run ads during the World Series on Fox. I think they might have had one during the Super Bowl this past year, but nonetheless, you get to work with businesses and really understand how to spend their money effectively. Obviously, it's not just you making those decisions, which thank goodness they shouldn't trust me just to make those decisions. But with our team and a bunch of other people that come along the way internally, it's kind of what I do. So just in short, managing money for people on the internet to make them more money and trying to make the best decisions to do that.
So what is it that you love about that work?
Love-hate between the rapid, fast pace. That's a love-hate. But what I love is like connecting with people that are, oftentimes a lot more intelligent with me when it comes to something. They might have been a CMO for decades, right? But I'm only done this for 4 or 5 years. So not always, but constantly being not the smartest person in the room. That's enjoyable. And then I would say the biggest thing is when I've worked in other jobs, whether it be my first marketing job or when I was selling paint at Sherwin-Williams as a college student, like you never really knew how a business was doing. Like you never really had a good understanding. When I had my first marketing job, it was more like B2B type business or, just longer tail, some manufacturers, some insurance companies, some etc. Nothing really in retail. And in this job, I can hop into someone's Shopify account and see what they've done over the last 48 hours, week, 2 weeks, year, kind of. And that's just like on the surface. And then you can get in a little bit more granular with data and dive in further. So you actually can understand what the work you put in is quantifying towards, or what the work you need to do. Because I think oftentimes, I don't know what the two of you do for your careers, but I know I have friends of mine, siblings, peers, cousins that are just like, yeah, I just kind of go to work and don't really know what impact I'm having. And I'm just another cog in the wheel. It's like, well, when I go to work, it's like, damn, like people are relying on me to pay their bills or their kids' bill. And it's not it's that extreme, but it's cool to know that every day or something you're doing is like actually like making someone more profitable or opening up a different channel for them to be able to sell on. So it's a good challenge to have.
Yeah, having a positive impact that you can see is so important for like just job and furthermore life satisfaction. So it's cool that you get to have that. And as somebody who really enjoys seeing the inner workings of a thing and really enjoys like working with data, like the stuff you're talking about sounds like really, really interesting, really exciting work actually.
Yeah, it's fun. Little bit of analysis paralysis at times. You get a lot of information and you're literally swimming in it. Like, what do I do? That's why you bring in a couple other people, maybe someone else, to be like, hey, does this make sense? Am I looking at this right? It's not as just a one single spreadsheet. So, but yeah, it is fun.
Very cool. And Dawn, you said you had a lot of questions about from.
I did. I think you guys. Did you guys just freeze, or did I freeze?
There was a second or two. I thought you were reacting to the volleyball game again, but you're back.
No, it's over. The game won. The Mojo won. No, I was like, they're still moving and I'm not. I'm moving and they're not, but I think I'm frozen. So it was kind of like this really reverse weird thing that just happened. Anyway, how, even though that's a lot of data, right? And I love the idea of being able to, you've got measurables. Like a lot of people it's unknowable for so many people in their jobs. Yep. And I've had lots of businesses, so I like that. But are you also feeling like you're creative? You can be creative in your job?
At times, yeah. I think that's probably how I got into marketing is, I wanted to get into like sports broadcasting or any of that, all of that. And I did that in college a little bit and all internships and got done because I was a creative realm. And I got done. I'm like, I don't really want to do this. This doesn't sound like the lifestyle for me. And then I kind of just had always, with doing a podcast or doing some other creative entity, always leveraging social media. And I even think back to like when I had my little radio show in college, I was like, oh yeah, I did have a Facebook page for it, even though that was there wasn't really any other platforms. You could have a website, but always trying to leverage the creative juices I have. And that's kind of what got me in the door into my marketing job, because I was already doing it for other businesses and just like my own branding. And then now it's kind of, I would say it's still creative, but we have more of a team behind it. Like I have a video editor or a graphic designer that I can still have to be creative. It's tough because you have to, this is what I want. This is what you want me to give you. This is what I want in the back end. And one of my good friends always says, like, you guys are Instacart. You order the ingredients. If you order bad ingredients, you're going to get a bad meal at the end. So make sure that Instacart order is solid. Make sure that grocery bill, that grocery list is good. Otherwise, you're going to get crap on the back end. I'm like, damn, that's good. So he actually helped me a lot at my old agency, just understanding, hey, this is what you're going to get if you input it this way. If you put it a little bit more effort and a little bit more detail, a little bit more specific with a couple examples, maybe just formatting how you're sending this brief over to someone, you're going to get a lot. So it challenges me to dissect creative, where I've never really been I've done video editing or done graphic design, but never a massive project behind it. It's just hacking my way through. So it's definitely still creative, though. It's part of the game.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Don. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, that's where the strategy part comes in, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. There's tons of strategy. Like, there's to the point where some brands will know, hey, if I show this certain creator and talk about these couple words in the first 5 seconds and have this picture or this item in the back, it's like highly likely you're almost like it's almost like you're going to Vegas and like having the deck stacked towards your favor. It's not going to be 100%, but like you're really going to put yourself in a good position. And certain copy, of course, you use this area you send them on the website, all these things that trigger people's emotions and to get them to click and want to buy your goofy thing you're selling on the internet because they need it or they've known about it and they're finally buying it.
Mm-hmm. So with the sorts of skills you're talking about that you developed between analytical, creative, strategic, stuff like that, I'm imagining these will play into the side business, Melody. So what is that going to be doing? I mean, tell us more about that. I'm really curious.
Oh, I'd love to. So I've actually, I grew up in an entrepreneurial household. My grandfather was a small business owner, so was my father. And I've had little goofy businesses along the way. Me and my buddy one summer, we came back from college, we needed some beer money, and we had a landscaping business. We printed off like 2,000 flyers off my dad's photocopier and made some money that way. So that's just always been kind of in my DNA. But this one I've actually put a little bit more thought behind it, like actually getting a website, getting a bank account for it, an actual LLC. I mean, I've had LLCs in the past, but just a little bit more of a legitimized thing. And I thought it was a good timing just to find something else to pour myself into outside of what my job is. I'm doing the same thing, but I get to work with people I like, or I enjoy working, or see them succeed. I have a lot of friends in Green Bay that are in the music or the clothing or the art scene, and there's not a lot of that around Green Bay, Wisconsin, shockingly. And trying to lean into that more, I think, is really, really important, and support them as much as I can, whether it's just buying their clothes or going to an event they're throwing or helping them, and working with budgets of theirs that are a little bit more palatable than like what I would work with at my previous jobs is one thing too. But it's just honestly leveraging the skills I have and some of the network I have of people that, hey, I might not be able to know how to do this, but I have a friend of mine that I can hire that he also does some sort of freelancing, and it's not my primary focus, but someday I'd love it to be. And somehow the name came to me with the combination of its Melanie and Addison. So just kind of combine the names, and it just seemed like a cool idea at the time. And I haven't hated it since I came up with it about 5 months ago. So I think it's a good idea. But it's just helping, honestly, just in the short of it, just helping small businesses or people that create content or have a side job or their full job expand on that. And I've learned a lot over the last couple of years in different businesses. So I'd love to share that knowledge.
That's outstanding. Like, I have no plans to start my own business, but if I did, now I know who to go to for help and advice and support. Yes. So man, that's cool.
It's overwhelming. And I've been, I work with all sizes of businesses, from, like that large company I talked about from Hexclad. It's not like, Maddie, you knew who that was, to in my first marketing gig. I mean, people literally didn't have anything. Like, they're investing in a website. Where should I spend even money? What does a budget even look like? Do I need to be doing this, and then it's like, okay, well, it's kind of a dance, if you will. Like, well, how much money do you have to spend on it? I have this. Well, do you really have that, or could we use it for this? And like, it's just this. So yeah, I always love to talk with people about whatever their business is, whether it's some goofy little COVID business they started making candles, or actually like a multi-million-dollar business in construction. Like, how do they market? What do they do? And always trying to understand how, who does a really good job out of it, or who's just like, wow, you're making a good living, but boy, you're your website's terrible, or you have no social media presence, or
Mhm.
there's errors everywhere on your stuff. So but I'd love to help you.
All right. Well, how would you combine your two daughters' names, Maddie?
Well, since I didn't usually say their names on the podcast, I will refrain from answering that.
That's fair. That is super
Oh,
reasonable.
even combining, you can. Okay. I was thinking combining would be okay. No worries. I like it. I was going to ask the same thing. Zoe and Mr. Starks are having a little spat in the comments, and I love it. We're so here for it. We love them. Okay, so that's super interesting. I was snooping around. I'm like, what is this? And I like the name. I think it's
Thank you.
it's
great.
it's different. It made me curious.
Well, given that's like thinking about people who are doing stuff that's artistic, that's an artistic word itself, melody. I mean, obviously music word. So
exactly,
just made that connection.
Uh-huh. And it's actually Melanie, right? And
Addison.
So that's cool. Very cool. Okay. So, well, much success with that. That's
Thank
really
you.
cool. So the next item on the Twitter is, sorry, I lost my place here. Is Packaday Podcast co-host.
Yay. We love it.
Yay. Matt. Oh, sorry. I keep getting so confused about which one. I'm not confused. I just don't want to confuse Matt Froelich.
Yes.
I'm going to try the Matt and Maddie thing. I'm trying, but it's just
Good.
not rolling off my tongue. Co-host. Who do you co-host with? What days are you on for those who don't know?
Great question. So Saturdays are when our episodes release. Generally, outside of draft season, it's myself, Janelle Mackey, and Eli Berkovitz. We do an episode every Saturday, generally during the season, about the injury report. So we wait until Friday after work until the injury report comes out, which has been a saga, as we know, the last few years with, I mean, I think I remember back, I think there was like one where we had like 19 or 18 people on it, which is hilarious. So we do those. We actually just got done, as I'm recording this with you, just got done recording an episode for Saturday, a little preemptively because we were allowed that because we didn't have to wait for an injury report, just breaking down the linebackers that the Packers drafted and then signed one. But we did that with Rob Rieger, who is a draft expert, if you will. He kind of joins us during the draft season of Pack-A-Day. I would say it's probably about 2 months, maybe something like that, where we kind of swap out some people that necessarily don't enjoy the draft as much, and then bring in people that are a little bit more fixated on it, that maybe do the Cheesehead draft guide, do some radio spots around the country. So, but yeah, every Saturday is when my podcasts generally drop.
And that's a good crew. I like listening to the Saturday one. You guys have good chemistry. What is your favorite thing about doing that podcast, especially with that group of people?
Yeah, I've known Janelle. I mean, Janelle and I did we were matched together on day one of Pack-A-Day. Like she was still in college. We actually recorded at Lambeau Field. Our first episode, thought that was cool. Really bad idea because they don't have podcasting studios in Lambeau Field atrium. They don't have quiet rooms you can just go and access. We were literally recording in the atrium. Audio wasn't that great. And then all of a sudden, 8 minutes in, there was a tour happening. So that was dumb. But I still remember like talking about Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, Devonta May, like these running backs that they had brought in. That was something. So we've been doing this for a long, long time. I've known Eli through Twitter for years and years and years. But the three of us, I think, just kind of in our own, not in our own, but like they're peers of mine. They're around the same age as me. We're all, getting through life at the same time, different cities, doing our thing. It's always like, I live pretty quickly. I think I have a lot of things going on, but it's always like, okay, Friday, got to figure out how to record. Am I traveling? Do I have to bring my mic with me? Are we recording the night before? Are we going to stay up late? Am I going to get a fish fry? We're going to record at 9 o'clock at night. Like, how does it work? We're always trying to balance the life schedules. But yeah, we've been doing it for so long. I think Janelle and I think we've been together forever, actually. Like it's been crazy. Eli has been a part of us for a few years now. We used to do it with Dan Kotnick, hell of a gentleman. So it's probably like half the time with Eli and then half with Dan and then full time with Janelle since the manifestation of Pack-A-Day.
So obviously then the first episode recording in a very interesting situation and a tour group coming through, very memorable. When you think back on it, what's another one that like really sticks out as a memorable episode?
They're like, it's always bad stuff. Like I remember, I still think about this. So like, she used to live on campus or near campus, and like, I would on Sunday nights we would record after the games, which was great, generally awesome. So highs, lows, in between, and it would drop on Monday. So I remember I would meet her on Green Bay's campus, which wasn't far from me at the time, and they had these really nice, like honestly, you could study in them, but it was really, really acoustically pleasing. And I remember setting up and recorded. And she's packing her stuff up. I'm like, I think our audio is corrupt. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, listen to this. And it was like a constant buzzing sound, like to the point where it was like, someone's going to turn this off in 15 seconds. So we recorded again.
Oh, no.
Same thing happened. We recorded a third time. And I was like, this isn't going to work. We're going to have to tell Andy to, he'll just use his audio episode for YouTube. We have a way to massage it. But I mean, I think we were at probably in that room for like 2.5, 3 hours and like didn't end up with an episode. So that was pretty disappointing. Outside of that, I mean, we've had countless games of getting into going and just be jacked up about it. Generally the Friday ones are a little bit going into Saturday, a little somber because you're looking at the injury report or someone's really, really healthy. And then we get like the great, whether it's just the injury report or maybe we're in the off season, there's like some great news dump on a Friday. That's just like, holy shit, we get to talk about this. So that's cool. I don't have a specific positive one, but I'm sure there's been some great moments because just sheer numbers would tell you we've had some awesome ones and some terrible news to break, but it's been great.
Did you ever figure out what the buzzing was?
Not a clue. I still think about it to this day. I'm not kidding.
Haunted. It's just haunted.
I actually still have my old laptop from there. Obviously I couldn't recreate that issue. I don't know. I have a microphone. The backup microphone I have that I travel with is the same one. I still don't know. I'm not sure.
Well,
That's
she
crazy.
has two cats, right?
She does. Janelle has at least 2 cats.
Yeah. I credit Janelle, your partner, with scaring the dickens out of me so much so that remember that story when she went out of town for a long weekend or something and she came home and the cats had turned on the gas on her stove?
I kind of remember that actually. Yeah.
Was there like a fire department there? So anyway, everything turned out okay, but I went out and I didn't go out. I went online and ordered those covers for your.
Sure.
I don't cook that much anymore. And I sent some also to Jamie Cheesebug because she has LaFleur. She adopted one of my cats. So like, we're not going to have that happen.
I just don't have cats. So that helps me, but I'll definitely have 2 little girls that.
Well, it's for children too.
Same. So
I'm probably going to need to order those.
Yeah, I definitely order those.
Yeah.
Well, they probably won't be able to do that the day one, but by the time they're 6 or 8 months. Yeah, it'll go fast. Don't forget.
Oh, yeah, seriously, the days are long, but the years are short. Like that's such a cliche, but it's so true, man. So when you're talking through some of your memories from doing the podcast, you use the phrase news dump, which reminded me you had that show was called The Final Dump on Game in Wisconsin, right? Yep. With Brendan Dworzinski. Yep. That was a good show. You guys gonna pick that up at any point, or is that kind of like it had its moment in the sun?
It did have its moment in the sun. I actually like forced my way into Game on Wisconsin stuff. I had reached out to Jacob Westendorf and was like, hey, I want to be a part of this. You guys kicked ass this last year. Let me be a part of it. And we did it, and it was awesome. And Brendan's such a great guy. Like he's such a professional, and he is not to get super sappy, but like when I was getting out of college, that's what I would have done if I really had the ambition to do that. He's doing volleyball games, basketball games, covering the Kansas Jayhawks, and he's just on the go, and he's done really, really well, and he has such a perfect podcast, audio, TV voice. Like it's just he just brought the legitimacy, and I could just roll in, and we just ran with it. So no plans to do anything right now, but no, it was a good 2-3 years, whatever we ended up doing.
Yeah, it was a good show. I really enjoyed it.
Appreciate that.
So do you have any other kind of like side projects that might be happening in terms of like Packers content creation? Obviously,
Content?
you've got a lot on your plate right now. I know that, but
I do. Side content? No. Like trying to focus on everything that I need to focus on right now. Work,
Mhm.
house, personal, still doing pack a day. I would
Having
say having twins.
Yeah.
I would say like the Packers content for me, I love it. I enjoy it a lot. I think it serves a really, really good purpose for me, but I think overextending myself on it just is kind of foolish at some point, doing so
Yeah.
many different podcasts or streams. I will gladly hop on anyone's stream, anyone's podcast just like this, and talk Packers, talk anything, but setting up another staple in my schedule to do that is very difficult. I would say the one thing I'm challenging myself to is just post content. I'm trying to get to, I mean, I was very late to the Instagram game. Trying to get to 1,000 followers by the end of this year is one thing, but it's just like, just post on the internet. Like, just if it's family related, great. If it's Packers related, great. If it's just whatever, like, I'm just trying to document it. And Andrea and I actually went back through over this weekend, as she was laying and laid up and just being pregnant, and went through some old tweets her and I had together when we started dating, and just like I had some quote threaded adventures we had gone on, and it's like to go back and document that and like go look back is awesome.
nice.
So it's I would say I'm pretty firm with where I'm at with Packers content, but always trying to support. Went to the Cheesehead TV draft party a couple weeks ago, went to the Pack a Day one. I live in Green Bay. I have to support these people as much as possible. It's like it's just it is what it is. It's part of it, and it's pretty special to be able to do that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That would be kind of fun to live in Green Bay, or even just during the season or something like that.
Amazing.
So okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Studley are in Florida, and so they're Dolphins fans.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how staunch of Dolphins fans, but Mr. Studley, who is also known as Dave Starks, it's an inside joke. He says Tua is on his nerves. What do you guys think of Tua? I kind of like Tua. Well, tell us why he's on your nerves, Dave. But what do you guys, Matt and Maddie, think of Tua?
Matt, I'll let you go first. I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I love that there's left-handed quarterbacks out there who are good. He's fun to watch, but I worry about his head. I worry about his head. But no, I enjoy watching him. And that the whole offense, of course, is just crazy. So fun team. Though they seem to fall apart near the end of the seasons, of course. But no, I like him. Got no problems with him. I wouldn't say I know enough about Tua's personality or anything like that, so I couldn't really speak to it beyond just like fun quarterback to watch for sure.
Yeah, I think he's the lefty thing speaks to me. As a lefty, it's boy, those lefty quarterbacks generally not that great. I mean, we got Michael Vick, Mark Brunell, and I can't even name another one in my generation that was worth a darn. But I like Tua's game. I think that staying on his feet is important. I think they did a better job of it this year than they did in 2022. Obviously, with all those nasty hits he took. Part of that's on him. Part of that's on making sure they have Ferraris on the outside running routes and stuff. You got to make sure you're protecting everyone, right? You can't just worry about those guys. So, yeah, they got to get a better offensive line around him, I think. But he's also got to understand when to get rid of the ball. But I definitely saw some strides this last year with that, which was good. But I always look at quarterbacks. Can this guy win you a Super Bowl or not? I would defer to that Tua probably can. A lot of that has to do with his supporting cast, but it's black and white. Like, can you win a Super Bowl with this guy? Yes or no? If it's no, you might as well start over, and that's what we see teams do constantly every 2 to 3 years if they draft one and he sucks. Justin Fields.
Yep.
Yeah.
A whole parade of quarterbacks from the Bears.
Yeah. Tons of them.
I really like Tua. I also am very concerned about all the injuries he's had, and he's very smart and he's very nice from what I've seen, and he'll have a career outside of football, no doubt. He'll be fine. So I was thinking with all those injuries, I think there was a little bit of talk. I don't know how serious it was that he might step down, and didn't play last season. And I love the Dolphins coach. And Dave said he needs to step up in crunch time. Oh, okay. So
that's what Dave's okay. That's where he's coming from.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. But I like Tua. Um, I can understand a quarterback getting on your nerves, though, and I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that anymore. Love our quarterback.
Love our quarterback.
I never miss
Awesome.
a chance. I never miss a chance.
I know, right?
Anyway, okay. So, all right. So let's see. I think that's your entire Twitto. So this is the time in our show where we kind of start pivoting to our shout outs, our superlatives, whatever we would like to call them. So, Matt Froelich, would you like to get us started, or shall we start and you follow? Which would you be?
I'll follow. I want to see how this all works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Maddie, go first.
All right. So how about Don? Let's go me then you. We'll check in and see if Froelich has one he wants to throw in. Can I give him a chance each turn around? So my first one this week is best discussion. So I really enjoyed this episode this week of the Athletic Football Show because sad news, you guys. You know that oh shoot, all of a sudden I forgot his name. He's off the show and I can't think of it anymore. Robert Mays and his co-host for years.
Oh,
wow. Brain just stopped working.
I watched them the entire draft weekend, for 3 days nonstop. Why can't I think of their names? Okay.
Well, anyhow, it'll come to me like in 3 seconds. But so his co-host is on to bigger and better things. So which is a bummer because Nate Tice and Robert Mays have been such an amazing pair for so long. So this one episode I'm going to talk about here, Nate Tice wasn't on because it was the first one that he wasn't on, and it's too bad because he was good on this. But anyhow, enough of that. The show was the quarterback draft that they do every year. They talk about if they were going to start a team and what quarterback would they want for the next 3 years of who's out there. So it's not just like who's the best quarterback, who's the second best quarterback. It is more like that very specific sort of set of parameters. And to hear them talk through, because there's Robert Mays and Derek Clausen, who's like a big quarterback guy, and Deontay Lee, who's a big defense guy, talking through why they like drafted each of the quarterbacks, because they do like what would be like 5 rounds through top 15, like why they decided on those, why it was like, say, this person over Joe Burrow, or, why haven't we gotten to even talking about Jalen Hurts yet, and kind of talking through it was really fascinating. And the fact that it's worth going and listening to, but the fact that 2 of the rookie quarterbacks from this draft that haven't even played yet in the NFL made it into the list is especially fascinating and worth listening for their rationale about. But spoiler alert, Jordan Love was in at number 9. And I think he should have gone earlier, of course, but I'm a homer, so there's that. But still, the stuff they had to say about him was very, very complimentary. And in fact, he could have easily gone at 7 based on their discussion, which is cool. I think the only thing I really had a problem with at all was that they put CJ Stroud much higher than Jordan Love. And it's like, well, okay, because he has more like rookie contract years, so it makes sense. But like just the whole discussion of kind of like the state of the quarterbacks out there and who you'd want for the next 3 years, discussion being had by 3 brilliant football minds was excellent. I think it's the best thing I listened to this week. It was a very long episode, almost 2 hours, but definitely worth every minute.
That's awesome. 8 quarterbacks in front of him, though. It's
a lot.
It's piquing my interest.
Yeah. But
it's
the discussion
all right.
is really worth it.
Keep underestimating the Packers. Right. You just go on and you keep on doing that. That's fine. We'll show you. We'll show you. Okay, and so Matt Froelich, you'll see how this show goes. My first superlative has nothing to do with Matt's first superlative, so they just kind of roll. What we know, basically, what I noticed this week, and it's the off season, so hey. So this is interesting. There was a report in Gridiron Heroics that the Las Vegas Raiders have been approved to go back to California. It's like, wow.
What?
They just built that stadium. What is happening? They've only been there for the Las Vegas Raiders. So my superlative is, what did I call this thing? Most indecisive is the Raiders. I mean, what is happening here? It's kind of a long article, but as you know, they were back and forth from Oakland, which is outside of San Francisco, like east, and they were in LA and back and forth. Then they went to Vegas, and now they're talking about going to Orange County, California, which is between me and like LA area. So like between San Diego and LA, which would be kind of be okay for me because then if the Packers ever play there, it's a little closer than LA because we don't have a San Diego team anymore. But it's just kind of weird. Like, were they not being supported and then so at first they're going to do like part of their games in California and part in Las Vegas.
What?
This is what it says.
Oh, I've not heard of this. This is
I'm
crazy.
looking at the article right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it does quote. This article quotes, according to Vic Tafur with The Athletic, the Las Vegas Raiders received approval from the Costa Mesa City Council. That's Costa Mesa is like by Newport Beach, a little bit inland, to hold part of their training camp also in California, which is the same training camp that several teams using, like the Chargers. Who else? I can't remember who else uses it, but there's like 5 teams that use that training site too, because a lot of teams come to California for that kind of thing because of the climate and whatnot. But yeah, so isn't that interesting?
It is.
Yes.
Weird.
I want to see more traction on this, but yeah, this article is
I wasn't expecting it.
This is wow. Nuts.
And Mona says, "Oh no, Raiders." Ugh. I just know what they're like when they would come through San Diego to go play.
Man.
They were just really obnoxious, like the fans. They were wearing these black, and they had pirates, and they'd have these big trucks. And this is before I even watched football. I'd be like out walking in my flip flops to the beach, and like, what is this monstrosity of a thing? And they're yelling out the windows, and they would start fights, and there was always problems when the Raiders came to town.
Always.
Chargers.
Always.
Pretty violent. Anyway, so 84 Super Bowl. Gosh. So it must have been against, you were a Niners fan, right? Was it no, it couldn't have been the Niners.
Yeah. Himon is a Niners fan.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So that was my first superlative. Most indecisive team. Get it together, Raiders, or don't. Or don't. We don't care.
Or don't, whatever.
We don't care.
So Matt, do you see what like chose?
I do.
So,
My
you want to shout out?
I guess it's not a shout out. I guess it's not very positive by no means, but it's the most disappointing. Okay. Would be Rashee Rice just constantly making poor decisions. The report that just came out now recently, it was at a Monday or something. He was at a club and punched a photographer and assaulted him. It's like, why are you out in public? Shouldn't you? You just kind of you hit the lottery twice on life. Kind of one, you got drafted in the NFL. 2, you didn't kill anyone in this car accident that happened a month or so back. It's just disappointing, and it's not necessarily just his fault. It's Kansas City Chiefs. It's the NFL. It's the fact that he's probably 24 years old and has he's not very rich yet, but once he gets his second deal, he will be a little bit more, have a little bit more money to his name, but it's just disappointing. We have all these athletes we love to watch, and Rashee Rice is a great football player and potentially could be the number 1 receiver for the Chiefs, but he's got a lot more issues going on outside of football than on the field right now. But he is just, he's not the only one that's ever had this, but it's just disappointing to see that constantly making a bad mistake.
Yeah, especially after like one bad decision, it's like, okay, reevaluate. Let's keep that from happening again. And then right away.
Yeah, pretty weird. And I thought they were both related, actually. I thought it was something that maybe he assaulted the photographer at the scene of the crime a month ago. No, obviously dove in, looked at the article. I'm like, well, that sucks. That's goofy.
Wow.
That is disappointing. No, that's a good one, man. And Don, you mentioned in the chat that you might be watching Rice's trial. So
well, if there is a trial, these are a lot of the folks in the chat tonight, including Katie, are true crime fans too. So I have a true crime show too, Matt Froelich. So
awesome.
This is why I mentioned it. So be aware.
Okay.
I thought he was Patriots. Why did I think he was Chiefs? Am I thinking of the other guy? Am I thinking of the guy who just got drafted? No, you're thinking of Rashee Rice, who's been playing for a while. Whatever happened with the guy who did the hit and run? The Patriots rookie.
Ooh, I haven't heard anything about that actually.
I'm kind of quiet.
But you're very right. What was that? Yeah.
Oh, that was in Houston. That was in Houston
Okay.
where the accident, they were racing. That
Yep.
was, yes, it
Yep.
was Texas. Yeah,
Yep.
I remember now. Houston highways are crazy. Okay. That's a good one. Yeah. So for our superlatives, it can be best, worst, or anything in between. And it doesn't even have
I promise they won't all be negative. I'll come with a
no,
positive.
and it doesn't even have to be about football. So
Okay.
That's true.
we're pretty loose. Okay, Maddie, it's your turn.
All right, my next one is best high level perspective. Now, I like this one because so much of the content we've been consuming for the last months, has been granular, especially really recently. Granular, like this is what this player, things to know about this player, what they've done, who they've worked with, what we can expect from them. It's been so much like very, very down details kind of stuff. So this superlative, again, best high level perspective, I appreciate it because it was taking kind of a step back, looking at the state of stuff, specifically the state of the Packers moves in the offseason to this point. This was on the Pack a Day from, I think, this past Monday with Andy Herman and Perry Goldstein talking through stuff. And first of all, they're just a lot of fun to listen to back and forth. They have good rapport. They're both super duper smart. And a lot of the things they chose, because they were doing like superlatives, which, obviously we love superlatives here. And so that like superlatives about the season, like what's the most surprising thing so far? Like what's your favorite thing the Packers have done? Stuff like that. So to get the perspective on that in that kind of format was a really great listen and a good chance to like get out of those like in the weeds stats and stuff about like our new players and that sort of a thing. So really fun episode. They always have a good episode, especially when Alex is on there with as well, because they're really funny together. But definitely worth a listen, and another good example of like we have months ahead of us of very dry content. So this is one that you could be listening to a month from now. So be worth checking out.
Oh, I like that. I like those kinds, Maddie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They're not necessarily time sensitive. Okay. So is it my turn next?
Yes.
Okay. So speaking of dry, I'll give you a dry one.
Nice segue.
It kind of ties into what you were saying about where we are at this part of the season. Mm-hmm. I was listening to Mike and Wes podcast from the Packers, and dealing with my off-season anxiety. So courtesy of Mike Spofford, he kind of gave a rundown, like a calendar of what to expect next, because it's not really written anywhere. At least I tried to find it.
It's very tough to find.
It is.
Yeah. So basically draft and rookie mini camp, which we just got through. So we got through the draft. We got through the rookie mini camp. Rookies are off this week, but the veterans are doing their workouts. So right now the off-season workouts are officially happening. And that includes position work with the coaches, like the quarterbacks, working with the quarterbacks coaches and that kind of thing. And then next week, when the rookies come back, the rookies and the vets will do their off-season workouts together. And guess what else is next week? We have a lot to look forward to. The schedule release.
Ooh, that's exciting.
I'm so excited. And I've got questions about that. Okay. So then the week after that, OTAs start. The 11s on 11s. Obviously non-contact, like flag football type thing. And that goes on for 3 whole weeks. And so by the end of the May, when those start, once a week, the journalists will be able to get into the locker room. So we'll start having locker room content from our favorite content creators. So it's not that bad. It's not that bad, you guys. It's looking up. And then mid-June, which is like only a month away, we've got mandatory mini camp, right? It's June 11th through 13th. So that's only a month away. Then that's the end of the season, end of the off season. There'll be a break. And then just we're gonna blink and it's gonna be July and we're gonna be in training camp and then we're gonna blink again and we're gonna be in August and it's gonna be preseason and then we're gonna blink again and it's gonna be the season in September. So chin up, everyone. It's gonna be great.
Dawn, your energy is giving me life right now. I've got to say this is
I mean, we've made it through the hump. We're May, so we're that much closer to football. Okay, so let's see. What was my question for you guys?
About the schedule?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Presuming we have a home game the second week, because we're going to Brazil the first week. So presuming we have a home game the second week, because how dare they send us on the road after going to Brazil? That would be awful, but could happen. But let's just say, presuming for the third time that we have a home game, who do you want? Who do you want? Do you want the Bears, the Lions, or another team?
Ooh.
That's a good question.
I don't love playing division rivals early in the season because I feel like you want the team to be more like formed. Matt, I kind of stepped in either. What were you saying?
No, I honestly was deliberating and kind of biding my time until I found the graphic that I know of which teams were playing. So it's going to be a home game, Dawn. Is that what we said, right? After Brazil?
We're going to kind of
presume.
I think that's a good assumption. So I'm looking at, so it'd be, I'll run through these fast. The home opponents right now are Bears, Lions, as you said, Vikings, Cardinals, Texans, Colts, Dolphins, Saints, Niners. Cardinals would be nice to start with. Saints wouldn't be bad either.
Yeah.
Everyone else, I agree with Matt. Like, I don't want a division opponent. Like, that's difficult. I'm even looking back to I guess they started with it's probably going to be a division opponent though if you think about it. If they're playing the Eagles, like it's going to come back and be a divisional opponent. So
yeah, I would be surprised if it were. I would love for it to be like a lower, what feels like a lower stakes thing. Like the Cardinals would be perfect. It's like we'll probably beat up on them.
To slap them back to Arizona.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
around.
Like I wouldn't want it to be the Texans because I want both teams to be like the height of their powers because that'll be a really fun game. I think
very fun.
Yeah.
Like that's one that I would love to go to if I'm able to. You know, for because that'd be good. That'd be good one. That'd be good one. So hopefully not super early for that.
Okay. Well, and I got this idea from Spofford because I think he asked. Now I think they're presuming it's going to be a division rival.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the Vikings. I'm not ready for purple that early. It's just purple. I think the Bears would be fun.
Sure.
Because we'll win. You know.
Bears or Vikings, I'm cool with. Like, I don't really want to go up against the Lions. They got most of the team coming back. Bears will have Caleb Williams, presumably. Let's see what he's got. And then Vikings. I mean, Vikings would be the best because are they rolling out McCarthy or are they throwing out Sam Bradford? Yes. Regardless, they're going to have a tough time. So that would I would prefer the Vikings at this point.
All right. Well, and the driest part of the superlative is that I was in searching for this information and I did get it right from the SPOF. I kind of added some of it in, but
I like it.
There is a website that I forgot about for anyone who's interested in this kind of thing is operations.nfl.com. So the NFL has their own operations website. I've used it in the past and I kind of always forget about it because it's so dry and dumb, but it does have a lot of information about the NFL schedule, important NFL dates for the year. There's already some stuff on there for 2024. And then there's also / creating the NFL schedule, which is kind of interesting. What goes into creating the schedule, which I think might be a kind of little fun thing if you're bored in life and you need something to do and you're thinking about the schedule coming out next week. You might want to know how they come to make this thing up. And it might be all lies, but we don't know. You know, we'll never know that. But
how have I never came across this website? This is a very cool website. I am saving this for later. There's a lot of great info on this.
There's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Very
so that's my next one. What do you have, Matt Froelich?
I had one and now I forgot about it.
You want Maddie to go?
No, I can come up with one. I would say, actually, Maddie's got to go because I want to pull that one I had. Go ahead, Maddie.
Yeah. Okay. Totally. All right. Well, this is my third and final one. So, of course, my last one was best high-level perspective, but you can't get away from the deep dives now, and that's okay because they're really valuable. So my favorite deep dive of many that I consumed this week, my favorite deep dive was actually one that Brandon Carwile did for the website that he writes for USA Today. Oh my God, what's it called? Packers Wire.
There you go.
Woof, man, I tell you, I must be tired. So one that he did there was about Edgerrin Cooper, and the thing is, it was like a film study kind of thing. So an article with clips interspersed throughout. It was really insightful, and he talked about how they can use them in passing downs, running downs, stuff like that. Just the kind of versatility he's going to have that we've seen him use before in college, and how he could be used in Hafley's schemes. So really nicely in depth, and kind of projecting what he could be doing with the Packers. Brandon's a great writer. We don't, I think, highlight him nearly enough on the show, and it was really good stuff. So I highly recommend that.
I like it.
I remember what I was going to say, and that's awesome. You mentioned, well, you found the Packers Wire. That you found it right there, because I got to say, Packers Wire is such a great entity, and Zach Cruz probably doesn't get enough. He doesn't say anything. He just posts articles, posts content, and that's it. And when we're in the dull time of the year after the season for Pack a Day Podcasts on a Friday, end of February, and I need something, I go there and I'm like, oh, that's a great podcast episode. And generally I will try to remember to call them out and say, hey, got this from Packers Wire, because Zach Cruz does a good job. But the Packers Wire is very, very good writing material over there. So I'll say I'm, as I screwed up the superlative, very thankful for Zach Cruz and his Packers brain, because without that, I'd be missing some episodes from time to time.
I love it. I love it. Well, tying in my true crime, and especially because there's so many true crimers here in the chat tonight. Hey, true crimers again. Fun fact for my true crimers and football fans, especially Packers fans. While still in the Canadian Football League playing as a quarterback, Tom Clements, we know who that is, right? Our quarterbacks coach. He received his JD degree, magna cum laude.
What?
Yeah, he's a lawyer. He's a lawyer from Notre Dame in 1986. Dude is smart. So upon completion of his playing, he practiced law in Chicago for 5 years for a law firm, Bell, Boyd and Lloyd, which is now K&L and Gates. So who knew? Tom Clements, along with being the best quarterbacks coach on the planet, about 70 years old and hasn't missed a beat, also a lawyer and was practicing.
And a great interview as well, for that matter. Always fun when they get him on the podium. That's amazing. I mean, he must be a smart guy. He did so much to make Aaron Rodgers, what he became, Jordan Love, what he's becoming. So that's amazing.
That is cool. Very cool. I love those nuances of people that have either been around the game for a long time, like a coach like this, or even like rookies that'll come in. They have all these little weird things, but that's incredible. They practice law. Was it for 5 years? That's nuts.
For 5 years in Chicago. Yeah, which
weird.
Is, tough place. Yeah. And again, I'm just going to wrap up my bonus superlative. I got to say, most mojo, of course, goes to the Mojo, who are officially in the playoffs. I've been mentioning the last couple of weeks, I think they're going to playoffs, but it is like they're in now. And it's just great because, again, for the first half of their season, it was almost like, kind of like the Packers last year. It was, although they were much worse because they weren't winning anything. But, they're in the top four, this year, this season. So it's pretty great that they pulled it together. And the match tonight was just incredible, and you can replay it on YouTube also. It's pretty great. So most mojo.
Excellent.
So any final thoughts, you guys, before
hold on, Matt gets one more turn at Spoilers if he has one. Do you have one more, or it's okay if you don't, but I just want to make sure
I really don't. I probably should have had a couple better ones, but I don't.
No,
I'm I don't have another one.
You've got other things on your mind.
I do.
Well, yeah, seriously.
Dad of girl twins. Hashtag dad of girl twins.
Yep. Exactly.
I love it.
Coming soon, man. Coming soon.
Well, Froelich, any final thoughts before we wrap up tonight? We really did appreciate you taking some time, especially this month. So busy. And for everybody to get to know you better.
Yeah, I think you reached out to me a while back. I had it on my calendar. I'm like, and all of a sudden, Dawn, you reached out this week. I'm like, she remembered. I had it on my calendar. It's all good. But I want to say my final thoughts are, I think you guys have a very unique space in the podcasting or content creation. I think that's always a important thing to do, especially I'll just talk about Packers content. There's so much of it out there, and we step on each other, not intentionally, but just the way the internet works, the algorithms work. We don't see each other's stuff, but I think you guys have a very unique approach to just having a conversation and getting to know more people. So I think it's a damn good idea. And I appreciate your time being on there. And Dawn, I don't like how Maddie did correct. I don't like how you said it's finally summer in San Diego, because I felt the same way in Green Bay, Wisconsin a week ago.
Oh.
So those when you said that, I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me, but
Yep.
I will allow you to have that. That's okay.
It's no longer, what was it, like 62 degrees for several weeks. We were dying. We were so cold.
I understand.
So
I'm
we're
sure
back
you were
to
there.
our
I feel terrible for you.
It's cold. I mean, you don't have to feel terrible with it. Just you get cold real easily. But it's summer. The flowers are blooming. The flower fields are almost done. It's crazy. My flowers are coming up, my delphiniums and everything. So it's definitely summer. Well, it's spring, but spring's a great time this time of year here.
Middle ground, really. It's kind of where we're at, it feels like. But
yeah.
So Matt, dude, this was really great getting a chance to talk to you. I've been listening to your stuff for literally years, so really appreciate the time. And Don, anything else from you before I hit the outro? The
only thing closing is just say hi to Eli and Janelle for us.
Well,
for sure.
Do that.
And her cats.
And let them know that if they want to come on the show, we'd love to have them. I've been trying to get hold of Janelle, but she doesn't have the ability to like DM her on Twitter. So
she's so famous.
I actually thought I had my DMs open for the longest time, and I realized I didn't. So I'll let her know that she needs to do that.
Tell her to come on with her cats. That'd be great.
Okay. All right, folks, make sure that you're following Matt on Twitter. It's at Matt_FRA_. Make sure you get that right. And great follow, does great work. Definitely check him out on the Pack a Day podcast on Saturdays as well. So friends, we'd love to have a chance to interview you and shout you out if you're a subscriber and a football fan. If you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest on our podcast, please let us know. Our DMs are open on all the social platforms. And folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us to keep spreading the love in our community. And the best way to help this podcast grow is by sharing it with your friends and family.
Yes, Maddie, that's right. Because we love you. We're so glad to know you, to be fans of you, and have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL. We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod. And we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the